Welcome to the Toledo City Council regular meeting of February 18, 2026. Let's start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Dawson, can we have a roll call?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilor Burns?
We're here.
Councilor Keating? Here. Councilor Kaufman?
Here.
Councilor Chambers? Here. Council President Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
And Mayor Mitch?
Here.
Mayor, we do have a full quorum tonight.
Thank you. Now, I would like to see if we have any public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to speak to council on an item not on the agenda? See nobody? Does anybody online want to speak to the council on an item not on the agenda? If you do, please raise your hand.
Madam Mayor, give it just a second, please. Does not look like anyone does.
Great. Moving on.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
My apologies to interrupt. We did have a, just to state on the record, we did have a written comment submitted this afternoon. It was listed as please attach to the meeting rather than be read into the record. So we will be providing a copy to council. But I just wanted to state on the record that we did receive that and it will be provided.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Mr. Huebner. And now we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Wait, don't we have? No, go ahead, Jackie, what?
Never mind. I went away for a minute and I'm here.
It's nice to have you back.
We can have quorum.
It has been moved by Council President Sylvia and seconded by Councilor Kaufman. Do we have a vote? Mr. Dawson?
Yes, ma'am. Councilor Burns?
Yes.
Councilor Keating?
Really glad that there are 6 of you because I abstain.
Councilor Chambers?
Abstain.
Councilor Kaufman?
Yes.
Council President Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Mix?
Yes,
Mayor, the motion does pass with a majority of the quorum.
thank you. Now let's move on to our community service. What?
Thank you very much, Council. Mayor, before you introduce the first item, I just was wanting to inform the council that the first item under your community service reports this evening, we got a notification from the Summer Festival folks that they asked to have the presentation of the princesses moved to the March 18th meeting. So just wanted to let you all know that they will not be here with us this evening. They'll be at the same meeting on the same date in March instead of February. So
I have a young lady that looks confused. Were you here for that?
Me?
You?
No.
Okay.
They're talking to Brenda.
She's a young lady that sometimes looks confused.
I just knew she wasn't talking about me, so.
All right, thank you. So our next community service report and/or presentation to the council is the Lincoln County Historical Society final report. Do we have that one in our packet?
Madam Mayor, that one is included in your packet, and there's no one here for a presentation.
Okay, all right, then moving on to the next one, the Toledo History Museum. Are you talking to us about the railroad too?
I am.
Yay, twofer.
It is a two-part. I was gonna say, you probably answered the questions about what? I said you could probably answer any questions we had about the
So Brenda Brown, representing the Toledo History Center and the Uquina Pacific Historical Railroad Society tonight. Okay, so we've been here before, reported to you what our going-ons have been for the last quarter. So I obviously am here tonight to request some funding. You had offered to provide quarterly funding at $3,000 a quarter. So I'm asking that for each of us.
Okay,
Any questions?
for Rich.
Yes,
What do
ma'am.
we do next? How do we make that happen?
So the terms of the agreements to provide the funding to each agency is that they need to come back to council and request that, as Brenda's doing this evening. So we put it on as a report as you received this evening. If there's consensus amongst council that they would like to proceed with the issuance of that fund, then I would take that consensus from council this evening and have it added to your agenda on March 4th for your approval of that expenditure. So that's how we've been handling this, is you get the report, and if at the end of the report, council is comfortable and wanting to go forward with that, then we bring it to you as an action item at your next meeting.
So this is a slightly separate question from that, but just while we have you here, and because this is something that is being discussed by the state legislature right now, I believe that, and correct me if you know differently, but I believe that the Railroad Museum receives about $30,000 a year for TRT money from the county.
That's correct.
Do you receive that as well?
We do receive some county money, TRT money,
Are you able to tell us how much that is?
3,000,
3,000 per year?
6,000 per
6,000 per
year.
year? Okay,
They pay biannually.
cool.
TRT.
Transient residency tax. So the state legislature, just for some context, is very likely to be passing a bill this session that would change the allocations from a minimum of 70% toward marketing and tourism purposes to minimum of 40%, with the rest being able to go toward infrastructure or other needs at the discretion of the body that collects the revenue. That could have a significant impact on some organizations.
Very definitely.
In communities that do not have a whole lot of revenue from hotels, from Airbnbs and motels, Toledo having only 4 compared to some others. We tend to depend on the Lincoln County, unincorporated Lincoln County revenue that's generated for TRT that gets distributed to organizations like these. So I just wanted to know, because I think as we are considering what advocacy might be necessary, not necessarily at the state level, but maybe at the county level, or what the next step would look like.
Well, we are required to report to the county, to the county commissioners make that decision.
Yes.
And we do report a written report to the county biannually,
Okay.
twice a year. And we've done that for this second.
Second year that they've been having you do that now, hasn't it? It's been a couple of 2-3 years.
Yes, it's been a few years. For a long time, the History Center did not get anything from the county because Toledo already had a museum. But through advocacy and some other support, we were added in at a much smaller rate, but still, everything counts and we're very grateful for it. So,
And again, I'm not certain about how much the Railroad Museum gets. I could be conflating it with something else. I know that our Chamber of Commerce also receives a significant amount of money from that
They do.
source.
yes, and the railroad does as well.
Yes, and that's the one I was thinking of too, but, okay, thank you.
All right, at council, do we have, would we like to decide if we have a consensus on this?
I'm good, keep going.
We're good? I think you have a consensus.
Very good. Thank you, council. So since you gave consensus this evening, I'll probably just slip it onto the consent agenda, but we'll have that on the March 4th agenda for council to approve the expenditure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like us here to,
What's that?
would you like us here at the March 4th meeting?
I don't, you're welcome to come, but I wouldn't say it's required based on the conversation tonight, so up to you.
No?
Yes, we would love you here.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the weather says.
I'll bring it.
It's a long, dark drive.
What's that?
It's a long, dark drive for you.
It
That's
is,
true.
it is, but I'm happy to come.
Yes, but safety first. Thank you.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Now that, that's the end of our community service reports and.
But yes, sorry.
Okay. Now we're moving on to discussion and information items, and Ms. Bush with Art Toledo is here.
They have to be separate from you guys?
Oh, okay, okay.
You're all listed together on the agenda, so.
In the docket, I love it.
Thank you.
Just quick, before we jump in, I wanted to disclose that while there isn't an actual conflict of interest, the Economic Development Alliance of Lincoln County has been a very important strategic partner in our Toledo efforts. My wife works for the Economic Development Alliance. You guys all know her, Stacy. And I'm only disclosing that while there is not an actual conflict of interest at this time, if our discussions start veering in the direction of there being any financial implications as to our relationship with the Economic Development Alliance, I will excuse myself for conflict of interest.
Well, the only thing I'd say to that, if we have to excuse ourselves from that, they're not putting enough people to vote because we all love Kim too.
I am mixed.
I have already spoken with Rich about this to make sure that the guardrails are there.
Gotcha.
So if I don't catch a point where it feels like we're going over that threshold, Rich will flag it. So
I'll give you the sign to steal third.
Yep.
And I did bring up some chairs here to the table to my right. So Economic Development Alliance, if you guys want to come up now, you're welcome to. We can get a third chair because I understand there's three of you here with us tonight. So
Perfect. Bring your chair.
BYOC.
BYOC. There you go.
Comfortable.
And then we'll just switch places when we want to speak. So I'm Kim Bush. I am with Art Toledo. I've been volunteering with Art Toledo for, I don't know, 5 years, I think now. I've been here about 5 years, so that would make sense. This feels really weird to me that I'm coming to.
Being on this side?
No, I'm really happy.
Spot here.
I'm super happy about being on this side. But about coming to the city, about Art Toledo, and I was like mulling it over today and trying to figure out, why does this feel so weird? And I came up with a little analogy and I want to share it with you. So for any of you who don't know, I know we've had a lot of turnover and a lot of new people. Art Toledo was started at the beginning of COVID with ARPA funds by the city. It is the city's baby. So the city was paying a babysitter, Lisa, the city recorder, to be she wasn't full-time working on Art Toledo, but to be the regular paid babysitter to take care of the city's child. I am just a volunteer. I'm a neighbor that babysat of my own free will, whenever it needed to happen, because I care very deeply about this child. And the babysitter stepped down and moved away. And I feel like the city put their hands up and goes, oh, well, all the neighbors will take care of the baby. And it's not being taken care of because there has to be a paid babysitter. That's my little story here. So I know that this city is very low on funds, but I also know that our city, as it is dying, and like every other little city in the nation that the highway bypassed. But if we want to save our city, if we want to revitalize it, if we want to bring in tourism, this is a way to do it. It's not the only way, but it's already somewhat established. We have Art Oysters and Brews. We have art happening in the city because of Art Toledo. I've been approached by Jackie to work with Homie House and start doing art with those kids. I'm going to do it regardless because I love the kids and I'm Miss Kim at, I teach art at school, but I would love that to be an Art Toledo initiative. I saw where a city, we didn't do well with the, what do we call it? The art. No, the Phantom Galleries, because of problems with not being able to do heat and the humidity and whatever. I saw where cities are doing tiny little, like dollhouse size, outdoor on the sidewalk art galleries. And people are filling the art galleries with little tiny pieces of art. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be so cool for the Homie House to be able to do their little art in the art galleries on Main Street and get the kids involved and have them participating. And maybe they could even, sell these little pieces of art. They would be, inexpensive. And that would fund homie house that would fund Art Toledo, you know, I don't know. I have all these ideas and I have so much passion about this. But if he doesn't want to continue with this or can't or whatever, I just want to know. So like this big chunk of my caring can go to something else. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. We have, this is one of the things on our list of many things that we need to address. Because we don't want to see Art Toledo go by the way.
No.
It serves a very large portion of our community, especially our youth.
Mhm.
And I know that we've had, it's been mentioned multiple times in different conversations about, our planning and there have been questions about whether the city still wants to keep it as a city event or whether or not Art Toledo has grown to the point where it needs to maybe be its own 501c3.
Well, and it's sad because right when Lisa left, we were all lined up to become a 501c. So, we could separate ourselves from the city a little bit and become our own thing. And that's how you get grants. We can't get as many grants as long as we're under the umbrella of the city, but it's going to take time and it's going to take investment of time and money to do that. And again, I'm here of my own free will. I'm a volunteer. These guys are actually paying to be here. They paid to put on Art Oysters and Brews. It makes me kind of sick to my tummy thinking about these guys stepped up and did something that they weren't responsible to do at all when, all the plates were in the air and.
I do that every day.
But I
It's
mean.
different, but thank you. I'm not
it's-
saying
but
it's
I
not,
mean,
but I
it's-
mean, you're talking to a council of
Yeah,
volunteers.
no, but they're EDALC, they have their own thing, and they've been volunteering with Art Toledo, and so, anyway, I appreciate you guys. Who wants my seat now that it's warm?
And we did invite EDELC this evening to be part of this conversation, especially given, as Kim mentioned, they've stepped up in a time of vacuum to really support this effort on behalf of the city. So we wanted to make sure that they were a part of the conversation.
Sorry, I only have 3 copies, so you have to share, but I can email you guys.
Okay. And Jackie has a question.
Before you, well, maybe I'll just save it and listen to you first. I'll get back to you. Never mind.
And the expectation is that we're going to kind of have a full conversation after the.
Cool, and I guess I would say continuing on Kim's babysitting analogy.
Sorry.
We kind of stepped in to be foster parents.
Yes,
And then had to pay for some private schooling.
yes.
And now we're just trying to see if we can renormalize the child. So Art Toledo in general, is the council pretty familiar with the whole thing, or do I need to do a little backstory?
I need help.
Doesn't hurt.
Okay.
Refresh.
Okay, so Kim mentioned this started a while ago, started in 2020. And it was, I think, kind of sort of the brainchild of Rod and Michael Gibbons a while back. And Judy Richter, they brought in Sequoia Consulting, which was a group that kind of grew up out of the early stage of the pandemic to do some grant writing and some rainmaking for the city of Toledo. And the whole idea of Art Toledo as a concept is to use the creative economies, which is basically artists, working artists, galleries, things like that, that is a historical part of Toledo's wonderful history, as a mechanism and a scaffolding to revitalize and amp up the Main Street area, to make it attractive enough. And the whole real goal is to have it be a stop that people want to make who are visiting the region. And the dream was Newport gets so many tourists in the summertime. The Bay Road from the port of Newport to Toledo is one of the most gorgeous drives how can we create something at the end of that Bay Road Drive and get those people who come to Newport to spend a Saturday afternoon coming to Toledo? So the idea was to build it and they will come. And there were lots of different ideas of how to do that. Sequoia Consulting, which they're now Rural Prosperity Partners, did quite a bit of early rainmaking. I think they got Ford Family Foundation, Roundhouse grants, Travel Oregon grants. And that really started things off. And it was a grassroots, city-led, the city did the cat herding. The first year was really like managed by Sequoia Consulting, and then it became Lisa at the city. Our interest in it is we're the economic development organization that represents all of Lincoln County. And we also work with the Cascades West Economic Development District, which is Lincoln County, Lane County, Lynn County, Benton County. We're very interested in the economic vitality of our region. And one of our organizational strategic priorities is what we call creative economies, which is artist entrepreneurs, art galleries. Those create so much quality of life for communities. If you put together the arts in all of Lincoln County through the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study 6 that was done by 2 years ago, the arts in Lincoln County would be the third largest business in the entire county. It's substantial. So our passion has always been, let's help these artists become better business people, better marketers, get them better audiences, better ways to get their work in front of the visitors who are coming in. So when we were approached by Rod and Sequoia Consulting of like, would you be interested in stepping up and helping? We said, heck yeah. And so we've been all in to help this effort, which is a Toledo-led effort, and we're basically supporting the work of Art Toledo. Some of the things that have kind of happened just over the time that are really good things. There's a couple programs. One you mentioned, Phantom Galleries, that was a program we designed. The whole idea with Phantom Galleries is take empty storefronts and turn those empty storefronts into temporary art galleries while simultaneously marketing the space that's behind the empty storefront as your business could go here. It's meant to be an effort that basically closes itself out if you're successful after a couple of years, that your storefronts are in good shape. And a number of the Phantom Galleries that we had are now active storefronts. A number of the storefronts that we were trying had non-local building owners, or challenges with, you got to have heat, you got to have electricity, you can't have the windows frost up when you've got art and sculpture in there. That was one of the programs. Another program were the community murals that we see around there. The Welcome to Main Street mural, Vetta's mural, the Timbers mural, the Michael Gibbons mural, the Sensory mural, and then the annual murals that you help with that come out of Art, Oysters, and Brews. That was an absolutely amazing program that I think could still go further. Then there were some beautification programs, the bus station art program with like local art created, wrapped around the station. That, I think we were all completely stunned that the county was like, cool, do it. Because we're like, what? There was a Travel Oregon grant that allowed for facade painting, awnings, things like that. Also, the Toledo City Council did a pretty amazing thing, and they worked with artist Vetta, who was working on the Crow's Nest then, to develop a specialized color palette for buildings that were getting grant funds that fit and were colors that were all locally available in Toledo. That kind of backfired a little bit because the whole idea was if they got grant funding, they would go and work with Vetta to figure out like what colors go where. A couple folks just were like, well, hey, purple, let's just paint it purple. And you know what happened there. So
Did they pay every morning?
And then out of it also came a couple of really cool events. And some of the events were, I mean, the Chalk the Block event, that was kind of riffing off of some of the, like Hillsborough has a really big chalk event. Just a way to get families and folks involved. We tried to do that a couple times with some of those van life things. And then Art, Oysters, and Brews was really the big thing, and that's really what's been kind of pushing Art Toledo on the last couple of years, which is an event that brings brews, oysters, music, and artists together. And one of the cool things was, I think it was the second Art, Oysters, and Brews, we had a vendor who also is a vendor at Seafood and Wine, and was like, I made more money in Toledo for Art, Oysters, and Brews than I did at Seafood and Wine. And that's pretty cool. So that's kind of what Arts Toledo has been doing. I know that, there was work to kind of get it to be a 501c3, and that just kind of stopped when there were some staff changes because that was sort of led internally. As far as things that we've been doing as an organization, and correct me if I forget anything here, but initially we wanted to have a web presence. We worked with Rachel Wallace and her digital students to put up a website. Sometimes you get what you pay for with high school students. So we kind of fixed the website and got it working. But we host at our cost the web services. We have secured the Art Toledo URL. We pay for that. We manage, Sarah and I and Stacy, now that we've dragged you kicking and screaming into this, any updates. We do almost all of the marketing for anything Art Toledo. We do a MailChimp newsletter, posters, promo graphics, press releases. We've designed and purchased event stickers. We've done lots and lots of banner ads when Katie Cooter was here and had an ad budget from the city for advertising. We've done numerous marketing videos. We created the Art, Oysters, and Brews logo, lots of ad campaigns. We also secured and pay for the Art Toledo mailbox, which was required for the 501c3. We manage the Art Toledo email account. We purchased a professional sound system for the event because renting a sound system for that event, it was prohibitively expensive. And we've been updating that, and I serve as the sound guy, so I'm here. All Art, Oysters, and Brews are running the sound. The last couple of years, we provided half of the funding for musicians through our Rural Opportunity Initiative grant through Business Oregon. The city's provided half. And I book and select the musicians. We usually have about 6 per. Art, Oysters, and Brews, I manage the W-9 forms, the artists. Staff, specifically Sarah mostly, does Chalk the Block event setup. Also, basically, last 2 years have led Art, Oysters, and Brews setup, and also had to run as security for a while until the security person showed up.
Came at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I just want to know that last year I Chalk the Block and Art.
Yeah, they were together, and Chalk the Block and Art, Oysters, and Brews were together last year. And Sarah also recruits all the vendors, manages vendor applications. We manage and deal with the payments that are coming in, manage event volunteers. We brought in a $1,500 grant from the Aquina Bay Economic Foundation for some marketing, food trucks, additional the Gibbons mural dedication video. We developed a property owner survey, a lot of letters of support, and participated with Art, Oysters, and Brews in all of the judging. So we've been here kind of in the beginning. It's not like we're asking for anything like a pat on the back or anything, but just that we're invested like Kim's invested. This is a great thing. We know where we want to go, which is having that attractive thing that can bring those people from Newport on Saturdays in the summer. That's the end game. And we hope that we can find a way collaboratively to do that going forward. And the city's done a ton. I mean, you provided money, you paid, Sequoia Consulting was not cheap. I think they're $150 an hour. But sometimes if they get you grants, that's money well spent. But the city's provided meeting space here, bought a lot of 10 by 10 tents and some of the larger tents that are worked there, the chairs and tables. One of the best things, being the sound guy, that you guys ever did was put the really nice electricity at the back of the parking lots, so we don't have to run the entire band out of a single extension cord from the timbers, that the moment that the one food truck runs their blender, the sound system blows.
That was a tough year.
Yeah, that was a tough year, very tough year. And there's also, you guys have the social media account that was used for marketing, deal with the event insurance, provided gift cards for Chalk the Block awards, store the event supplies, manage street closure, parking lot closure. Public Works has helped so much by bringing the trailer with all the equipment and then, allowing us to bring that stuff and then putting it back. And the last 2 times that we've had multiple days, the city's funded the overnight security. So it really has been a partnership. And I guess our thing, because it's about time to start getting things rolling, is what do we want to do now? That's the big question.
Yeah, and I think, when I requested for this agenda item, a little while back, I really kind of insisted on having Edel join us for this conversation. It was really very much recognizing that if we wanted to figure out what the next step of our Toledo is going to be, whether it is pursuing the 501c3 or making it something that is kind of owned but maybe staffed within the city, or even an idea that I've had a couple of times, which is maybe we establish a public art commission, which a lot of cities have. That could be another avenue for something along these lines. I don't think that we can even start to strategize the next steps of Art Toledo without exactly what you just provided, Paul, Sarah, and Stacy, just understanding the scope of everything that has gone into Toledo simply functioning for these past couple of years.
And a couple of things just the city of Toledo should feel pretty proud of is this effort has been noticed by the state of Oregon.
Statewide, it has been mentioned.
And when they went, I think 2 short sessions ago to try to get some funding to start an arts and culture district trial program for the state, they looked at 2 communities to come basically testify, and that was Toledo and Hillsborough, to show how it was done. So there's a lot to be proud of and a lot of successes along the way. But I just wanted to let you know that it's, this work has been noticed.
Yeah, I think the real challenge is we're recognizing now that for it to be sustainable, it has to be planned. And I think that one of the things that I really highlight out of what you've been saying is we've done a lot of really amazing things by our bootstraps for the last few years. It's been, we patch up problems as they arise, we're creative, we are scrappy. And what we're accomplishing is extraordinary for what feels like it hasn't been as strategic, at least in the last couple of years. There's plenty of reasons why that could happen, but I don't think that we've necessarily had the same level of strategic investment that's been thinking, 5 years, 10 years down the road, as opposed to what's the thing that's right in front of us and how do we accomplish that? So
Part of that's because everybody that was involved in the city left.
Yeah.
Jackie,
I wonder if you could fill in some holes for me, and possibly Kim, that would be you. So when Lisa was here, she was considered the paid employee, but so when you say to have a paid employee, are you thinking through the city or of?
I'm not thinking any
she
of
wasn't
that.
paid extra for that.
She wasn't paid extra, no, it was just part of
She took it
her.
on.
Other duties as
So
assigned.
that was a little disingenuous, the way that was presented, I'm sorry, because you made it
I
sound
didn't,
like she
no,
was.
I didn't
Okay,
intend it to be that way.
takes care of that one. Then, you had indicated she was preparing some 501c3 papers, but they were not filed, or?
They were not.
Yes, we did establish bylaws and we established bylaws for it and had the core members that were needed to file and got our PO box. And it never went forward.
You still have those bylaws?
I could probably find them. One of the challenges that we have is we don't really have all of the files of Art Toledo because a lot of them are within the city's records and I don't have copies of all of them, but.
Next question, if I may, please. So when the initial grant monies came in, is there anything left, and who holds the bank?
That's a great.
That I would really love to get some more clarity on. Judy, when she was with the here as a full-time person, she managed most of that and did it really really well.
We have her back.
Yeah, and she helped us out awesome last year, but I think that some of that is just kind of old and went through multiple finance people's hands. And so it's something that we would love clarity around is where that grant money has.
And all the grant money came to the city of Toledo and was managed by the city of Toledo.
I have one final question. Okay, so in order to structure, and that's basically what you're asking is to get it structured, there's sort of a disconnect for me. I'm not an artist, but I like to recruit people. And so I'm just wondering, are we looking for ideas for projects or bringing people into the fold to come up with ideas?
Well, we need to put the brakes on. Is there a problem with the city having a 501c3 underneath its umbrella? My understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, there are some problems with that.
I'm making notes as the conversation goes on. So the first two notes I have is find the 501c3 paperwork if we can locate it and get an update on the status of our grant funds, what we have, what's been expended, so forth. The third question that the mayor just brought up is also one that I was making a note for my weekly conversation next week with the city attorney on.
We just turned the camera on.
She just turned the camera on. I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but by all means. Do you have a comment on that question, or do you want to add it to our discussion for next week?
I think we can add to the discussion. I don't want to interrupt the
only reason I brought that, Savani, is because I had a conversation with Lisa at one point that was saying that it had to be separated from the city.
They would be separate entities.
That was the.
And it was being set up as its own separate
Right.
thing.
And in that case, this council would have no authority over it.
Not authority, no.
No.
Okay.
But authority over what support the city provides to it, right? So in the same way that we
Yes.
provide funding to 501c3s throughout our community, we could designate funding to that 501c3.
Yeah.
And you could put limitations on the line items. You know, this money is to be used for, just as an example, for an executive director's salary. What you couldn't do is tell them, here's who you need to hire as the executive director. So yes, you have legal authority, to the counselor's point about how much, if any, financial support you provide, what limitations on what expenditures is okay to use city money, but then how they go about doing that, it would be within their own purview, within law and other applicable guidelines.
So then essentially we would be the board of directors.
No, they would have their own board of directors. What the city would do is kind of like the Railroad Museum. You know, they could apply for funding. Council could say, yes, we want to give it to them. You could put in a similar structure. You need to come in every quarter and give us a report. You could do that type of thing, but you would have no control over how the organization operates.
Got it, thank
What
you.
if it came from the URA? The money.
That might not be legal.
Yeah, we'd have to look at allowed uses of the URA, because primarily the focus of the URA is on as the way the city has structured your URA program. Those funds are primarily focused on business improvements structurally and that type of thing. There are some other allowed uses of those funds. The city attorney and I have had some discussions around those uses recently. So they're not exclusively to that, but that's the primary use. So if we wanted to look at other uses of those funds, what that may involve, depending on what type of use the URA board had in mind for that, is we may need to do an update to the city's URA plan. So not saying no, but it might not be quite as direct as you had in mind.
No, that's a good answer. Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
So I think I deviate a little bit in terms of the direction I hope to see this go. I don't know that I don't think I prefer creating a separate entity 501c3. I think I'd rather see something that lives under the city, because I think that can give it more sustainability. I think that it does require some structure for that to happen. And part of the reason why I mentioned, the other thought that I had around a public arts commission is I'm also thinking about the presentation we had a few months ago about restoration needs for the art that we have in the community, that it's not just kind of some of these new initiatives, some of the things that Paul was talking about, but there's also a need for the city to be meaningfully maintaining the public art that we have in our community. And that could be something that also falls under the umbrella of, say, a public arts commission. So this would be something like a planning commission, where it is a body of volunteers that can be appointed by council. They could have discretion over certain funding or certain decision-making, or at least bring recommendations to council. There could be, say, a part-time staff position that could be created, or we could find some way to put something into our city staff that could support that public arts commission, as well as whatever initiatives are coming out of it, or at least making sure that there's somebody who is dedicated to coordinating, as opposed to putting another hat on our city recorder like we did in the past. I think personally, one of the concerns that I think has already come up a little bit, of that sort of confusion of, oh, the city creating a separate entity does mean certain sort of city initiative is taken away from whatever that entity does moving forward. There is a part of me that feels very strongly that keeping it under the umbrella of the city makes it perhaps more sustainable for the city, and perhaps gives it more direct access to city resources.
So we have a work session next week. I don't know if this is something, if we want to add this to that work session or not. But I think the council needs to have a discussion about what direction we want to see with Art Toledo, and what level of involvement we can see going forward, and have that discussion amongst ourselves, and then come back together after that discussion and maybe have another discussion at that time. Because right now we can bat things around and stuff, but we're not making any decisions right now. And we know that there's some questions as to what the future of it's gonna look like and who's gonna be running it. But I think we need to have a discussion as a council in a work session to hash those things out first.
Well, and just really quickly, and my apologies, I would just reinforce that I think what you suggested, Madam Mayor, is a great point. Councilor Keating, you had some very thoughtful background and ideas behind why the positive for having it still be under the umbrella of the city. I would reinforce what Kim mentioned in her comments earlier regarding there's a benefit as a 501c3, more accessible to external funding sources, so maybe not as dependent on city resources. So I think what you said a minute ago, Madam Mayor, about tonight we wanted you to kind of hear from the parties behind the activities of Art Toledo. And then I think your point of let's look at the pros and cons of the different structures is a good next step. So just wanted to support that. Sorry, Stacey.
I was just going to say that the amount of time we have to execute Art Oysters and Brews, which is the first weekend in August, means like ideally that the decision would be made by, I'm gonna speak for the team here, by like April 1st, whether or not that is something that is going to be viable this year.
You read my mind. Thank you.
And it doesn't have to like, not everything has to be solved by then. We're just talking about the logistics of a single event on 2 days in August to be able to make that happen.
And what the partnership.
If you guys want to make
sorry,
that happen.
And what the partnership looks like, because I just want to say that our team alone, for Art Oysters and Brews Weekend, we put in a collective 66 hours to pull that off. And we did
Not
have,
planning, that's like.
that's just being present for the 2 days of the event. And while we did have counselors volunteering at the main booth and things like that, our small team was doing pretty much everything else in terms of, you know, interacting with vendors and making sure that people weren't walking a mile with a cup of beer in their hand. So that is just, I just want to flag that.
Just a couple comments. One, thank you for doing what you do and for jumping in there and keeping the patient alive. I think, yeah, right, CPR, but I think that those types of events are just a big part of what it means to live in Toledo and feel the community. And I really appreciate that they don't happen if people don't step in and make them happen. And I just am full of gratitude that you stepped in and filled that gap. And appreciate it. I do think this would be a great topic for council to kind of chew through it at some point and wrestle with a little bit. A long time ago, there was a person named Celeste Matthews who was a city staffer that just worked on these types of things. And, you know,
It was amazing.
yes, she was a talented person, and it was a different era. But it is interesting to think about that intersection between community events, vibrant storefronts, you know, the look and feel of the community in both the vibrancy and the aesthetic of art installations, those types of things. And I think that there's a lot that's happening there that's really important. I totally agree, Mayor, with your point about council having some discussion around it. I think to help inform that maybe a little bit, Paul, you mentioned like, hey, we're not here necessarily like asking for anything, but if you were asking, like, what do you think the right approach or path is to this?
I mean, yeah, I'm guessing, I mean, just spitballing from our past experience, I mean, odds are something like a public arts commission or something, Newport's started that a little while back, and it's working really well. I think that's a great first serious step. There might need to be an intermediary step, like let's at least have Art Oysters and Brews this year and see if we can put up $2,500 or something like that. And one of the challenges that we all noticed in the last couple years is trying to get local volunteers. You know, not the voluntold, but the volunteers. And I think that's going to be something, whoever's working on whatever, we should work with that. Other things, when you're saying, you know, we're not here asking for funding other than a thing, you know, full disclosure, and you guys probably already know this, Toledo is one of the municipalities that funds our economic development organization, but at a general level. You know, Lincoln City does, Newport does, Lincoln County does. But I see that as a separate thing from this very Toledo specific thing. My last thing I would say, just to leave you with, is one of the things that we've kind of teed up, but we're not ready to sort of push the go button, is the Aquina Bay Economic Foundation is ready and willing to provide funds for signage at both ends by the end of Port of Newport and in Toledo, and to work with the county to try to create a localized scenic way that's not a ODOT road, it's a county road. But there's resources available to kind of open up awareness to that throughway that could also help bring people to that end goal. It just doesn't seem like we're quite ready here on this end to, it's not like that's going to be the magic bullet, but it's able.
Can I throw one more thing out there? You mentioned Katie, she was a rare student. Do you remember what rare stands for?
It's in there, actually.
Rural.
Resource assistance for rural environments.
She was fantastic, and I would love, if we do want to go forward with this, I would love to see the city apply for that every year. Because I know it's hard to get. And she didn't just work on Art Toledo, she worked on revitalizing downtown and interviewing business owners and figuring out which trees would be better in the sidewalks and all sorts with the Arbor Day, like she did all sorts of stuff. But I would like to see that we continue getting rare students as much as we can, because it's a really good deal.
Exciting. Anything else?
I'd just like to say thanks for the opportunity to come speak
Thank you
about
for
it,
coming
and
and talking.
I do really enjoy working on this, and it makes me proud to be part of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
And if any of you were there to see the teenager in the
window.
upper floor window jamming Johnny Be Good with Johnny Wheels Band, that was a magical moment. And that happened right here.
Also, if you guys need any information on other stuff or videos that we've provided or anything like that for your guys' work session, please reach out to me.
We'll make sure you've got this with the links to the videos and everything.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for coming.
I'm gonna escape because it's nasty out there and I gotta drive over Cape Foul.
Madam Mayor, before we proceed with the agenda.
Oh, no, we're on to reports and comments. I'm sure you cannot add things to the agenda at this point as secretary.
I cannot add action items, but I can add,
Run this by. No.
I
You
ran,
and the city council president are up to no good.
I ran it by,
Oh, you're in on it too?
oh, he's in on it too.
What did I miss?
You'll see.
We have, and we did say in the last meeting that we were gonna do it at this
Yes,
meeting.
I
We
thought you
just,
forgot already.
we just neglected to put it on the agenda.
I didn't forget.
What are you talking about?
Quit burying the lead.
The oath of office for the new mayor.
Who just wants to make it so my signature's revoked?
Will you come forward, please, Madam Mayor?
You are making.
I put tick marks on there for you to.
What, so I can remember?
Yep,
Do I
right.
stand up here?
The
Right,
camera's
if you
right
would.
there.
What?
Oh.
Hi.
The
Okay,
camera is right there.
right there, okay.
There?
So look, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Tracy Mix, do solemnly swear
I, Tracy Mix, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and the ordinances of the City of Toledo, Oregon,
and the ordinances of the City of Toledo, Oregon,
and will faithfully and honorably
and will faithfully and honorably
carry out the duties of Mayor of the City of Toledo, Oregon,
carry out the duties of Mayor of the City of Toledo,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Tracy Mix. We'll get you a fancier looking one.
So help me God.
Did you snick that ordinance one in there? Because I didn't see that before on the last thing I did.
I take no credit for the content of the oath. That is entirely on the diligence of the city recorder.
Okay, all right, thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
So now that that's done, let's move on to reports and comments. We have reports in our packet, some well-written ones. Toledo Fire Department, do you have anything to add to that, Chief Whitcroft?
No.
Well, thank you for being here anyway. You can.
Unless you have any questions.
So, can you tell us more about that awesome grant you guys just received out there for the new fire hall?
About the which?
The grant
The grant you guys just got?
from the state, or was it?
So that for Celeste?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I
Gotta make sure which council meeting I'm at. Sometimes they get confusing.
You're
Put on the correct hat, chief. Yeah, so
So-
that's actually been in play for a couple of years. Congressman Hoyle originally submitted it, and then the federal government didn't approve the budget, and so then everything fell apart, and then she resubmitted it, and then it started moving forward, and then Senator Merkley got involved with it, and so he co-sponsored it, kind of, because when the legislature gets to submit those, and the following year, the Senate submits them. So it goes back and forth, and so it kind of became a combined thing, and it was kind of a omnibus bill at the end of this last session when they approved all kinds of stuff that was in a package. And so we received that. We don't get a big check anymore. I asked about that. I was looking for a really big check, but they don't do that anymore. And so actually I have a meeting with USDA next week about how the grant process starts, because the original application was 18 pages. But now we have to submit the final grant, which hopefully we can cut and paste a lot of the 18 pages and do that. So, and that will build a large building, like a pole barn, if you will, outside behind our station. And then we'll be able to remodel the inside of the station once we move all the equipment. And concurrently with that, we had to purchase the property that the fire station is on. We've been leasing it from the city of Siletz since 1987 for $1 a year. And we needed to own the property in order to receive the federal funds. And so it's taken, it's going to be over a year process to do that. It wasn't that the city of Siletz wanted so much money, it just had to get the land partitioned and do a survey and then redo it, because originally it was going to be a lease, and then it became a sale. And then the survey markers didn't exist anymore from 1879, and so they had to go back to Highway 20 and find survey markers. On and on. So I think we're close. So yeah, so we're pretty excited. I'm optimistic that we'll have it completed maybe by July of 27. Hopefully, by the
That's
time.
pretty exciting.
A lot of engineering, a lot of ground, soil, and the tribe built their recreation center, and having seen that project and how far they had to dig down to pull the soil out and how many tons of rock they had to put in to establish a base, I'm afraid we might be kind of in that same scenario, so.
Because
that's gonna
most
be
of your ground is silver.
That's a lot of fill dirt. If anybody will need some, we should have some here in a couple of months. Good garden soil, really beautiful soil.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. Appreciate
Any
it.
more questions?
As far as Toledo fire, any questions?
No, we don't care about that.
Okay.
We do, we care.
Thank you.
Toledo Police Department, the monthly report was here, and is Mike on?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions, or Mike, is there anything you want to add?
Not at this time, but thanks for asking.
Okay. No. Okay. The planning department, we have our monthly report in there. Did anybody have any questions on that? No? No. Okay. Did anybody have any questions on any of the reports? No.
It appears we have a hand online. Give me a second.
Madam Mayor, I will leave it up to your discretion. However, public comment is generally held to the item at the start of the meeting for non-agenda items and for any action items for council. Reports is generally limited to council interaction with staff. So it's up to you if you want to open it at this time, but it's not common.
We will not be taking public comment at this time. So if nobody has any more questions about the reports, we can move on to the city council issue tracker. Is there anything in there we have any questions about? Any of our, yes, Brian?
I would like something to add to the reports. I'm waiting on a third estimate for the lights to be replaced, so my apologies for the flickering and any health issues that's occurred tonight.
Which, oh, here? I didn't even notice.
We have one above the staff table right here that flickers pretty predominantly. We did try to replace the tubes in the lights and still have the same issue. So it is the ballast, and the ballasts are out of production as due to their age. So we are getting
Some at my office.
LED.
We are getting quotes on LEDs, and so far, the two that Brian has secured so far have been, we think, pretty reasonable. So I'm anticipating that we'll be going that direction.
So I spoke with Brian earlier today, because I had some questions from citizens about Sterling, when that was gonna be done. So just to be clear, he said it should be done within the first part of March for the tie-in, and then Road and Drive will repave that bumpy road when it's done. So now people know.
Thank you. That's great. Good to hear. Anything else? No? Brian, was that all? Just, we're
I mean,
good?
I could provide more, but I'm good at the moment.
We're gonna go early tonight. Let's move on to, did our city manager wanna regale us with anything, even though I don't see you on here?
Well, you asked a moment ago, Madam Mayor, about the trackers, and I just wanted to share with council, they weren't included in the packet this evening because, as was talked about at your last meeting, we're working on updating dates and status on those items. So I anticipate having updated trackers for you at your meeting next week.
Okay.
And just as a quick preview, though, for your meeting, you mentioned the work session next week. We currently have 4 items on the tracker for discussion at your next week's meeting. The Oregon Sustainable City Year program, we're bringing that back for continued discussion after your last review of that. We'll be presenting council with the capital improvement program requests that have been submitted by the staff to date. That doesn't mean that'll be necessarily all of them, but I did ask for as many as we're aware of to give council a preview as we go into the budget cycle. So we'll be presenting those that we have so far. I recently received and have not had a chance to dive deep into them yet, but I've received a draft of the council goals from John Morgan after your council retreat a couple of weeks ago. So I anticipate having those for you next week. And then I had a counselor mention to me in a recent conversation that there may be some discussion related to some transportation potential projects coming down the pipeline. So anticipating having a little bit of discussion on there related to transportation programs and projects that may be in the future.
And that item, for what it's worth, I'm the one who had brought the transportation thing. That item isn't so urgent that it needs to be next week, so that can easily be bumped to a later meeting.
Fair enough. Thank you, Counselor. And then we do have there's one more item, and I just had it.
Art Toledo?
Art Toledo, thank you.
Water conservation.
What was that, Paul?
Water conservation.
That was the one.
Yes.
That was
And
the
the
one.
vigil.
And the vigil.
So we have a pretty packed discussion item agenda for you next week. So I will at your statement there, Councilor Keating, I'll go ahead and move transportation to a future meeting. We do have several items next week, so you're getting off a little easy this week, but buckle up.
Just a quick note on next week's meeting, I'll be on an airplane, so I won't be able to be here physically or to Zoom in. And I know we're getting a little lean up here, so hopefully the rest of you can make it.
Are there any other counselors that anticipate not being at next week's meeting at this time?
Mentally or physically?
Physically.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so it sounds like we will have a quorum for next week, though it is a work session, so a quorum isn't necessarily required, but it'll still be good for conversation. So thank you, Councilor Chambers, appreciate that. And safe travels.
Thanks.
You bet. Madam Mayor, the only other item that I would like to share this evening, and I'm gonna not jinx it by not sharing any additional information beyond we have extended a conditional offer of employment to a finance director candidate. That conditional offer has been accepted. That then begins the background and reference check process. So happy to report that we have identified a strong candidate, and they have accepted the conditional offer. I will provide more information on that individual and their background once the background check process has been completed. But very happy to report that the staff interviewed, along with myself, two very qualified candidates, both with great backgrounds. And we had one candidate. We both could absolutely do the job. There was one candidate that the staff felt was the best fit for the city of Toledo, was very excited to make the offer, and even more excited that it was accepted. So looking forward to sharing more information with you once the review process has been completed. That concludes my reports for the evening, Madam Mayor, and I'm open if the council has any questions.
Tracy?
Yes.
If I may. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we had talked about excusing the department heads after they gave their reports, so we're not holding them hostage.
Oh.
And
I'm here voluntarily.
okay, well, I mean, far be it from me, it's just lovely to have you here.
Well, that was right. We had talked about having their reports sooner in the meeting, definitely on nights that we have a larger agenda.
Yeah, the format of the agenda that we've started going with since Paul has come on board is the template from the League of Oregon Cities. Yeah, so it's the League of Oregon Cities template in terms of order of operations for the city, and so with the fact that we didn't have too many items after the report this evening, I figured we'd just go ahead and get through but definitely I have it in mind in the future if we have a lot of discussion items or decision items on a particular evening, we'll definitely look at either moving the reports themselves or kind of, to your point, Counselor, we'll look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Rich,
I'm here for
I do have one thing I want to.
Oh, appreciate it.
Before.
Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, the city recorder has something he'd like to share before we go on.
Please.
I forgot to mention that the resolution to change the city charter will be published next Wednesday in the newspaper. That will start the 7-day challenge on the title, at least. So that's going to give us plenty of time to meet all the requirements for the May 19th ballot.
Okay, good news. Glad to see that make y'all. All right. Now, council comments, Jackie Burns.
Well, I just found out this last week, because I talked about the flower baskets, and there's a Toledo Community Foundation, which I had no idea, you guys probably know about it, and that they pay for the baskets, and
Yeah,
I
it's
get,
the tag group. Isn't it tagged?
well, that's part,
Yeah, they're part of
that's
it.
part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, I just wonder how many other organizations there are in town, like that was, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with Mary Epperson, who gave me the down and dirty about the,
Mary?
Margaret.
Margaret.
Margaret,
Margaret will
yes,
keep
sorry.
you on the phone
If
forever.
I
You
read
have
my
to give her a
writing.
time
Yeah,
limit.
with Margaret, well, she's delightful.
She is wonderful.
But anyway, so my question is, I wonder how many other organizations we have in the town when we were compiling our list.
Oh, yeah.
that-
But I think we did put that group on the list.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jackie Kaufman?
Nothing from me.
Mr. Keating?
The only thing, and this is a question more for like a status update, but I was curious to know about progress on compiling a report of the various committees and projects that former Mayor Cross is working on. I know some of them do have a certain sense of urgency or importance. So I'm thinking a lot about like the forestry property, for instance, and a lot of the advocacy and work he was doing
The
for that.
forestry property is still in the works. We're still working on that. Okay, sorry.
Getting an update on kind of where a lot of those things are and what balls might have been in the air that nobody's, like, I think a few weeks back, we had discussed putting together at least kind of a list of the many things that our former kind of full-time mayor was working on, just to kind of give us a sense of where things were, but this is not at all meant to be like anything about you as mayor, anything like that. Okay. Because I feel like we've talked about this. It's more, it's more that I wanted to make sure that we, as we're transitioning, I want to make sure that we're not forgetting that there were so many big things that that Mayor Cross was working on, and I just not having heard anything for a while.
I had a chance to talk to former Mayor Cross at the LOC meeting today, and he and I are gonna schedule a time to get together and go over each of the projects that he was working on. I anticipate being able to get that done before your next meeting.
And there is what made me think of it.
Absolutely, yep. And he and I had been kind of, it hadn't fallen off my radar. We'd been kind of going back and forth on trying to get together. Just as you mentioned, Councilor Keating, I had been involved in the meetings with the former mayor when he was in office around the forestry, and just happy to report that we have there's going to be a meeting of the and I'm drawing a blank on the acronym, but the state board that oversees department recommendations for the dispensation of state lands, and they're going to be meeting in April, and we're working on a packet for that, and we've been having regular meetings with different interested state groups and agencies around that. So that one is one that I had been working alongside the mayor, the former mayor on, but.
And I just mentioned it as an example. And it's a top of mind example more because I work with the guy who owns the adjacent property.
Sure.
And so he asks me about it every once in a while, and I realize
Absolutely.
I genuinely have no idea.
But yes, at your next meeting, and I appreciate you mentioning it because I hadn't put it on the tracker, but I do anticipate having a report for council next week on different boards and commissions that the former mayor was involved in, and looking for either Mayor Mix to say, yes, I'll pick that one up, or that's one that she would need other counselors to support on. So we'll have an update for you at your next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all
So Cheever,
I'm good, thank you.
good? You got nothing? Oh, I got nothing. We get to go home. All right, or do we want to go over future agenda items? We've kind of already gone that.
Yeah, we just went over next week's meeting. So as I mentioned, I'll have updated trackers for you at your next meeting. So I think that probably best time to look at future items would be that discussion, if that works for you, Madam Mayor.
And with that, I'll adjourn our meeting at 7:12.